Hey everybody, it's Cody, Dixon RC. We're going to do something a little bit differently in this video series than normal. I know I'm with the crawler guy and whatnot and so forth and so on, but I bought an X-Maxx. I'll tell you the story on this one here. I bought it from a thrift store. We have a thrift store in town that is, I ain't never seen anything like it. It's a humongous store loaded with all kinds of cool stuff. I've gotten a Predator 212, a Harbor Freight motor for $30. It's crazy. I bought a bunch of 4-foot LED lights for the shop. I bought all kinds of crazy. I bought a bunch of Nerf guns for really cheap that worked, rival guns. You know, those are expensive guns. And so I've gotten them for a really good deal. So this was there. I saw it get posted at night, one night. And so I got there the next morning. Got it for a really good deal. But I'm going to explain why it was a good deal. So you know how thrift stores get their stuff. It's generally returns from Amazon and Walmart, Lowe's, things like that. It's generally how that stuff takes place. What I think happened more, I looked at this, the guy, whoever had it prior, had one, tore it up, bought a new one, swapped the wheels and tires and the body on his old chassis and sent it back as a return, because when you return it, they just kind of glance at it and say, oh, it looks like new condition, send it on, you know, give him his money back. Because when I got it, it had a burned up ESC in it, which is no big deal because it's a Traxxas part, it's junk anyway most of the time. This big stuff is no exception. So I bought a Max 6 from Hobby Wing, put it in there already. I've driven it a couple of times, and you can still tell it's lacking. It doesn't have the punch and stuff that most 8S X-Maxes do. I've had one before, so I kind of have an idea of what it should have been doing. It's still fast, don't get me wrong, it's still pretty gnarly, but it's got some problems, so we're going to fix that. And how we're going to fix that is, I went ahead and bought the Hobby Wing 5687 1100 kV motor. This thing is massive. This is nuts at how big this thing is. It is a non-censored motor. And if you haven't noticed yet, Hobby Wing on all their bashing or bigger brushless stuff has a temp sensor plug. There's nothing for this yet, but they've started adding this here recently. So just so you know, I got a DJI spur gear. We've gone with the 54 tooth, and of course I got some aluminum motor washers. They go on the bottom of the truck. It's supposed to help that as well. Now this chrome piece, this aluminum piece you see in my hands here. This is made by Poseidon. This is a motor mount for the X-Maxx only. It is required to put these bigger motors in. I got this from my buddy Sean over at Jack's RC and Recycle. I will leave a link in the description. You can message him if you want one. As I'm not a dealer for Poseidon, he is as well. And I think he's a DJI retailer as well. We're going with a 30 tooth pinion. It's Mod 1 8mm hole. I'm going to have a 35mm as well. And all these deals here are based off of Sean's recommendations. He is the bash guy in my opinion. For me, that's who I go to if I got questions about this stuff, because I know a little bit, but I don't know. I know how to break them, but that's about all I got. And fixing them, it's generally all about the same, but you know, I have not taken one of these apart yet, so we're gonna install all this. We're gonna install the spur, the motor, the motor mount, because the Max 6 is already in there. So we're gonna take it all apart, and I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna attempt to show you how to do it, because the thing is massive, and it's gonna be hard for me to get shots and it not be in my way trying to work as well. I don't want it to be fumbling where you can't see what I'm doing. So I'm gonna come over here and put it above. I'm gonna try and see if I can make that work. We'll see. I don't foresee it being great. We'll see though. We'll see. So hope you guys enjoy it. This is going to be part 1. There's going to be 3 parts. Part 2 is going to be suspension because it's got some leaking shocks. I'm going to rebuild the 2 rear ones because they are bad. And maybe some other stuff. I can't decide what arms I'm going to put on it. But the idea is to send this thing to the moon at USTE. That will be the 3rd video of me either A, just shooting it sky high and doing crazy tricks with it, or B, tearing the crap out of it and bringing it home in a bucket, that's what I'm planning on doing with it anyway. So this is all going to be for your excitement and your viewing pleasure. So I'm gonna move it around, see if we can figure out how to do this. I'll be going, like I say, the rebuilding of doing this is the first time for me of taking this apart. So we'll see how it goes. I haven't looked anything up, so I'm kind of gonna go with it as I'm doing it. So hope you guys enjoy, and I'll talk to you in just a little bit. All right, so I had to take the tires off of it to get it down enough to where you guys can kind of see, because if not, it was like way up here. It's kind of wild. So we're going to, of course, you see the Max 6, and the Max 6 is the perfect factory replacement for this thing as well, because the stock motor just bolts directly to it. You have to, there's a little bracket here you have to cut off, no big deal. So first you have to take this cover off. Then there's another cover right here that covers up the pinion, or excuse me, the spur that goes to the diff. It's got like a little thing there. I've already taken this off here. So I'm going to use, yes, I know I need an MIP driver. I'm well aware that I need something better than what I got here. So that comes, be sure and get the screw out. You ain't necessarily got to, but it looks like you twist it and then pull it out like that. Good deal there. Keep screws together so you know where everything is. Next will be, now see, there's the pinion, there's the spur, of course, all metal. Next, you'll take off this, I'm gonna try and remove this plate here. I think this is how this is supposed to go. Of course, just by looking, I'm just kind of guessing. I don't really know, to be honest with you. It looks like that is a longer one than the other one. Trying to remember that. Let's put them in one. Now, also the other way I can tell this thing has been used is most of the screws in this thing have a little bit of rust on them, which means whoever this person was that owned it prior played in the water with it, which is not a big deal because that's what this thing's made to do. So, you know, not a big deal. That's the way it's supposed to go. And also there's scratches all over the bottom of it too. So that right there tells you somebody beat on this thing pretty hard, which is good. That's what it's designed to do. So let's hope this works. I don't know. Yep, that's it. So that pulls that cover. Ooh, you can also see right there, see how nasty all that looks. Yep, somebody had been playing. Now I don't know. All right, so now what we'll do is we'll remove this motor. Now I don't think, I'm trying to figure out how this, all right, so I do know, let me grab this here, put these where it goes so I can keep up with what's what here. Keep that there, over to the side. So you flip this over and there's the plate. It's what you'll be able to pull the motor off. Idea behind it. So let's flip it over here. You'll see these right here. These are the 4 motor plate holes, and that's what these nice little pretty aluminum bits here, they go in place of here. It just reinforces it. It's basically the idea behind it. You know, you got to have a lot of reinforcement when you're putting this in there. And I mean, and I don't have small hands, dude, guys, and this thing is insanely large. It is crazy at how big the thing is. That's what she said. So we'll take this off of here. Hopefully the motor won't crash into the glass and break it like I think it may do. The good thing about the Poseidon, it comes with all the hardware as well. It comes with new bolts for here. It comes with the bolts and the sliders to adjust gear mesh on the new mount. It also comes with the hardware to put it together because it comes in 2 pieces the way it bolts together. So it's very nice, very well built mount. There's plenty of other mounts out there as well, but according to Sean, it is the only one that hasn't bent. Apparently he pulled one out of, I think he was telling me he pulled one out of a 6S X-Maxx, like one of the first gen ones, and it wasn't bent, and it was bashed hard, is what they said. So just keep that in mind. There's, you know, I think it's $95, I think is what it costs. Just keep in mind that there are cheaper ones out there, but they're cheaper for a reason. So, you know, just always remember that. when it comes time for you to buy this kind of thing. Now, I know this is not a normal thing for you guys. Most of you that watch this are like, why is he building an X-Maxx? Well, I started out doing this. This is what I started out playing with. No, not an X-Maxx, but, you know, fashion stuff. As most of you did, probably, more than likely. I had an E-Max. Yeah, that shows my age there. I had an E-Max back in 2002-ish, 1, 2, somewhere around that area. Long time ago. Beat on it pretty badly. Tore up a bunch of stuff. You know, that kind of deal there. So, all right, so now it pulls out there. We've got, when it's flipped over, the spur come out as well. Now that's the spur, and that goes to the diff there. Of course, it has bearings. It's got a bearing in the center, also at the. So all we do is we'll actually change this over. Now this is a 54 tooth already that's on here. The idea behind this is to put a stronger one on here. This DJI is a stronger, it is a replacement. So it's not too bad to do. So we'll do that in a little bit. All right, so that takes out the factory wiring. So it has the motor, the fan, heatsink. I'm assuming this is some sort of temp control for overheating. And then that's to control the fans there. It's got, I think it's got 1 or 2 fans in there. So this one comes stock with an 18 turn or 18 tooth pinion. So move that out of the way. Now, the next thing that I know we've got to do, you have to trim. There's a piece in here. Let's see if I can move this to where you can see it without making a mess here. So you can see right there, that has to be removed. You have to cut that off and you have to trim that side down, because if you don't, this plate will not fit in there because it is massive on its own anyway. We're going to remove these screws. See, it's the hardware it comes with. So when you go to put this in, you'll notice that it will not fit right. And I think I got to remove this brace because I don't think it's going to fit in there either. All right, so yeah, those pins come right out. They just pull out. They were a little on the rusty side, so pulled them out. So I'm gonna come back in just a minute. I'm gonna go ahead and chop this stuff off here and get it right. I'm not gonna bore you with all that mess there, but I'll show you when I get done. So I'll be back all right, so I'm back. So I found the bearing thing. So you do have to remove the pins. You have to remove the brace here. I'm probably gonna have to flip this around the other way so these are on the opposite side, because right now it's right there. All right, so you do have to cut a lot of this out. I drembled it all the way flat across. Took out this little corner piece here, left that there. Everything seems to be good as far as that goes. So now we're going to change the pinion gear. The DJI unit is supposed to be just a replacement. So you get your 2mm and you take the 3. So this should just slide right off of here like so. And this one should just slide back on it like so. All right, so I figured it out. So this DJI spur gear is very tight tolerance as far as, you know, it goes. I trimmed some of the plastic around here to make that fit. It's super tight as far as how it fits in there. I got it in there. It's beefy too. The thing's a lot beefier than the stock one. I found the bearing that goes here. I should have bought a dang rebuild kit. I didn't realize how bad it'd be in here, so I didn't really mess with it. But I'm going to put some grease on this as well, because it does look like it needs some pretty well there. So we'll put this piece back on here. Screws back in there because that'll hold that gear in there so it won't fly around on me whenever I flip the truck over to put the motor inserts in as well. So I knew that was going to happen. So that's there. We're going to take these pieces out here. It comes with hardware as well. That's the part number for Traxxas 7759. I don't think we're going to use those, but we will use these. What I'm going to do is take this, try and set it in there. Whew, boy, oh boy, that's kind of crazy. When I say it's tight in there with that Max 6, it is right there on it. So we're going to flip, I'm going to flip this over, try to anyway. All right, so I got one started, so now we can flip it over. Place these on here. I'm sure this is so we don't strip plastic or waller out the plastic, I would imagine, because this thing is beefy. Lots of power running through it, so it'll tear up some stuff. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to, all right, well that was flipped over the wrong way. Sorry, orientation was wrong on that shot there. Maybe it won't be too bad on you on the video there. So we're going to thread lock this as well while we put it on, because that's going to be the only way this stuff won't come loose, because if not, it will come loose. Period. This one out. I did not get. Just tighten these screws down. Of course, we have put thread locker on them, so they probably won't come out. Hopefully, they won't come out. It'll be a bad day when that happens. So that's done there. So next thing left to do is, of course, to set pinion gear mesh. It is way off with how I set it, which I mean I figured it would be because I didn't have a clue what I thought it would. I didn't even know where it would even remotely even be. So now we got that there. We will come in. Looks pretty good there. That is not straight on that. Take this one out. We will thread lock it as well. Let's not lose it there, Johnson. That would be a bad day there. I need to lose these little grub screws. This pinion comes with 2 grub screws as well, which is pretty wild. You don't see that very often. So we will tighten. It's tight down. I don't think that's straight. I can't see. Alright, so this thing takes the 2 bolts that hold the motor, you know, so you can adjust gear mesh. There's 7mm screws. You have to get of course, the hardest part of that is finding something that fits in this spot, because it's very, very tight. And it doesn't take much to make it move either, though, so it won't be that bad, really. So let's continue to take that off of there. There we go. There we go. All right, so now it is all the way down there. I need to adjust that pin just a hair more. That's pretty good on that, though. A little bit tight in here to fit anything, really. Oh, boxing was the way to go there. Should have done that from the get-go. All right, so now we well, we shall see how that works out anyway. So A plugs in here. You know what? I might just leave this Max 6 like it sits, because. Oh, you know what? I wonder if is the stock motor cover gonna fit? That's a good question. I do wonder that. About close. It's pretty close. The only thing I have to do, probably trim that up a little bit, and it'll probably fit. We'll worry about that later. I guess that's the downside. That stays open when you do this. So keep that in mind when you build one of these, if you're what you're going to be playing in, that kind of deal. And you just got to shove these motor wires into the ESC. That's not that bad. I don't think that'll be too big of a deal to be there. All right, so all we got to do is put power to it, and we'll do that later. All right, so we finished up putting the Poseidon mount in, along with the metal 30-tooth pinion and the DGI spur gear. That was a bit of a pain, but it worked fine. I think I'm going to keep this like this with the wire right here. It's very close right here. The motor is right on the Max 6, which is fine. Not a big deal. But the next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the Traxxas receiver and add in a FlySky so I can use my remote. I kind of want to get rid of this Traxxas setup. I'm not a big fan of their radios anyway. So let's go ahead and do that. We have to, I bet you I do not have. So we have to remove of course, the receiver little deal. It takes a 1.5 to loosen that up enough to be able to, I think that's what you got. That's the only thing you got to do is do that. and I think you can tug on it and it will come out. Nobody uses that anymore anyway, so not that big of a deal. It's not a super loss. Grab you a nice flathead. Go ahead and pop this thing out of here. There you go. Lift it up off of the double-sided tape. Remove that. Somebody will probably want that. I'll probably sell it with the old Traxxas remote. Somebody will probably want it. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? So then we get our GT5 here. Of course, put a little bit of double-sided tape on it. Get some double-sided tape. Find a pair of cutters here. Try and do this and don't cut yourself while you do it. Down there. So we will take the steering is number 1. Number 2 is the newest one, which is this is for the Max 6. It's a longer cord there. We'll peel back this here. It doesn't have to be super, it doesn't have to stick very well if it doesn't want to, because it's not going to go anywhere in there anyway. Then just figure out where to put all these extra wires, because there's a bunch of them. Figure out where to shove all these in here. It's always the worst part of this. Luckily, this receiver box has a bunch of room. Lots of room for a bunch of different things to go on here, because they shove a bunch of wires in this thing as well, like stock, because of the TSM and the thermal and all that other stuff. So they do shove a lot of things in here, which is good, because then it gives you room to be able to put your stuff in there as well. Where did I put that? What did I do? Oh, there it is. Okay. So probably remove this little deal here, because we don't need it. Get rid of the little antenna tube thing. We don't need that anymore, so we'll just rid the thing of it. Put this down here. Get your receiver box. Of course, see what I'm saying about the room? This thing's loaded with all kinds of room in there. Put this down in here. Got a little bit of movement here. Boom. Slide right in there. Then get your 2.5mm bit driver, or driver bit, whatever you want to call it. All your screws, and go to work. Put it all back together. Alright, then you get your batteries, of course. This will be the next thing. I've got some Gens Ace 7200 hard cases. I ordered the wrong ones when I ordered them, if you want to know the truth about it. I want the other ones. The other ones fit better in here. So, of course, grab the Fly Sky, turn it on, set it for whatever one you want. I've got it on this is my 5th vehicle with it, so I'll do that right now. So, overall, let's talk about the way this thing sets up in here. Overall, this is the way to go. If you're going to go with a bigger motor, a bigger setup in this truck, this is the answer. This 1100 kV hobby wing setup with a Max 6 and its Poseidon motor mount. Of course, your gears, you got to have that as well. This is the answer. This is the ticket. So I'd say you do it. You know, this setup is not cheap. This hobby wing Max 6 and the combo, I think it's like $375 or $385 or something like that, or it may be a little bit less than that. I'm not sure. I'll put a link in the description. I've got this on the site if you want to buy it anyway. Of course, it's drop shipped directly from Hobby Wing, because I don't stock this kind of thing right now. One day I will, but not right now. So also this gear cover that goes over the pinion and the spur will not fit. I'm going to fiddle with it. Maybe I can make it fit. I think maybe if I trim this out all the way around, I'm gonna mess with it and see. Maybe by the next video we talk about suspension and stuff. We'll talk about that as well if I get something done on that. But as you see, this thing has no, there's no fluid in these rear shocks. So that'll be the next video. We'll do suspension stuff. We'll rebuild these shocks, and I'm looking into, depending on what kind of arms I'm going to get, I'm probably going to go with the Proline arms, maybe. I don't know yet. We'll see. So hope you guys enjoy the video. I know this is a little bit different. I hope you guys watch it, like it, share it with your buddies. This kind of shows how this works. There's not very many videos out on how to install this, so maybe that'll help somebody out. And I hope you enjoy it. Subscribe. We're getting the subscribers. We're getting the viewership. I like it, so keep it up. At the end of this, there'll be some running video of this. When I get this situated, I'll do some video and I'll film it, and so you'll be able to see it as well. So hope you guys enjoy the video. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time. All right, so right here I've done a couple of hits on it just to see what it'll do, just to make sure it works. And we'll turn it around here. As you can see, it needs some rear shock oil badly, but watch it coming back.